So here's the thing, I originally recorded these things at night, but due to the fact that I'm now managing my sleep schedule, I have to resort to recording these in the morning when no one else is awake, so that's a real give and take right there. Hello, this is J.E. Realize, and this is my take on the grand final of Eurovision 2021. Just really my thoughts about what I saw and that sort of stuff, you know. And I try to keep it a little bit condensed because unlike semifinal 1 and semifinal 2, I'm not talking about like 17 or 18 songs at length. But first, before I continue, here's my provisional final ranking. For those of you who don't know what my provisional final ranking is, I ranked the songs in the semifinal based on my personal preference, and then I advanced the top 10 of each of those lists to the final along with the Big Five and host, and ranked all of those. This is not indicative of who was in the final. It never was intended to be that way. Now that we got that up front, let's begin with talking about the grand final, and oh boy, we have quite a show. First off, to start us off, is this scene with a bunch of people getting together in Rotterdam and these lights coming together in an orb. All this sort of stuff, you know, just your standard Eurovision bringing people together since 1956. Kinda, sort of. And then after that, it's the flag ceremony. And, you know, all these people come on down the ramp with their flags, sometimes without their flags, and galvanizing the audience, except for Iceland, who, as I said, couldn't show up to the final. And all played to the tunes of that Venus razor blade commercial. That's kind of a bizarre choice. I have a feeling that someone is gonna correct me on that, but really? Gillette Venus? The razor blade commercial song? I don't know if anyone else got those commercials in the European Union or in Australia, but okay. Then the announcers come out on stage, they do their things, they speak a little French, the running order is revealed, you cannot vote for your own country, yada yada yada. We've been through this before. Let's start. 26 countries in the grand final, and I won't be talking at length about the ones that I've mentioned in the semifinals because they were there in the semifinals to compete, except for a few instances, of course. First up in the competition is Cyprus. Why is it that my favorite songs end up first in the running order? And from what I hear, that was on Cyprus. I hear that Cyprus actually wanted the first in the running order position because they were a little too hesitant in winning and, of course, hosting. I don't know how much of that is correct. And why would you kind of deny an opportunity to present yourself on the world stage, or I guess the European stage, but you know, Americans watch this. Do Americans watch this? Then we get Albania, which ends up in second in the running order for the second Eurovision in a row. Hate to be them. Then we get Israel on third, Belgium on fourth, Manisa performs fifth, we get Destiny sixth in the running order, you know, Malta, favorite to win, all that sort of stuff. Then we get Portugal, Serbia, and ninth up is United Kingdom, represented by James Newman with the song Embers. And I honestly have to say, the song, while it's decent, it's just nothing to write home about. It really is a song that's just there to compete and really doesn't bring much new to the table. That doesn't deny the fact that it's a bop, technically. Now, I did hear his 2020 song through the Now That's What I Call Eurovision CD collection, because, of course, that exists. Spoiler alert, this compilation could have been done better. But then again, it was made for the British Eurovision fans. I don't know what it is. James Newman decided to go with the song Embers. And yeah, he's enthusiastic, but that is just not the best choice. I don't really know what to say about the United Kingdom. They just don't really try, or at least didn't really try, and then Spaceman knocked everyone's boots off. So, of course, I just moved on. Then we get Greece competing, and then Switzerland competing, and then Iceland not competing, yet we saw their rehearsal performance. And then we get Spain. Canta Blas Canto. I always wanted to say that. With the song Voy a Quedarme. And it's a nice, sweet sounding song. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too stand out. But as someone who knows Spanish, I got the message. It was pretty sweet. There is, of course, an intention with the song and how it was dedicated and that sort of stuff. And that really is tragic. But then you go into the comments of the people who don't know Spanish, and apparently they just assumed the guy was angry at the moon. Damn it, Europe! Why do you have to make things so hard? Then we get Moldova, and next up is Germany, and is represented by Jendrik with the song I Don't Feel Hate. And golly gee, what a Marmite kind of song. This song is really the kind of song that tests you. Either you really like it for its kookiness, or you really hate it because it gets on your nerves. And that is by design. Jendrik is quite the character. Me, I'm kind of on the fence, but I am leaning toward the like it category. At first, I was like, what are you doing to us, Germany? What is this? But then I warmed up to it and then got its appeal. It gets into your head and it's just infectious, for good or bad. But in my case, it's got me a few chuckles when I finally got used to the song. And I thought this song might get some votes because the people who don't want to vote for it will not vote for it, but the people who love it will come out in droves and vote it, and it might get itself like something like, I don't know, 80 points combined. Probably hardly anything from the juries, but it really wasn't designed for the juries now, was it? Also, I should mention that this was the other middle finger song in the contest, because you had this giant hand on stage, except in the music videos, it was legit a middle finger hand, but you can't do that on a family show, so instead they put up the two finger salute, which is also not particularly kosher in some parts of the world. No, I'm talking about Australia here. There's a whole story about it, or at least a myth. But yeah, the only thing to make this thing come full circle, pray for the ones that we got and blessed by the ones that we lost, is the immediate next song is Dark Side from Finland, which also uses the middle finger motif. Congratulations! You've reached full meme potential. Then we get Bulgaria 17th up, and Lithuania 18th up, and Ukraine 19th up, and 20th up is France, represented by Barbara Pravi with the song Voila. And I gotta admit, this song is not intended for me. But at the same time, I can't really be mad about it. This is more of a classic Eurovision flavor kind of song. It's pretty smooth, pretty inoffensive, garners up images of French glory and the Eurovision Song Contest of yester century. And also, the person performing reminds me of a relative I know. So, yeah, I'm not sure how to get around that bias. It's a fine song, though. Would I put it in my top 10? Probably not, but I don't really have any complaints with this song. Also, the character on screen just exudes youth and experience at the same time. Now, that's a combination that is both hard to pin down and also rather annoying because it's everywhere. I wouldn't call it annoying in this case, though. This isn't Gemini, man. Then 21st in the running order, we get Azerbaijan. 22nd in the running order, we get Norway. Oh boy, I forgot to mention the meme regarding Azerbaijan and Norway. Apparently, people want to ship the two together. Also, I forgot to mention that the real reason I don't really like Azerbaijan's song was because it was ethnic for the sake of being ethnic. It didn't really add anything to the song in itself. I shouldn't have been so callous, and I should have written an actual script. I didn't. Also, there would be a scene after the results are announced in which Effendi and Tix would actually meet each other in the green room. Well, congratulations, you just reinforced the meme. Next up is the Netherlands, represented by Janko Macroy, or whoever. And he's from Suriname, actually. And Suriname is formerly a direct Dutch holding, therefore it seems probable for the Netherlands to send in someone if they had to send in someone from another country, you know, besides Belgium or something. And the song he sent was Birth of a New Age. Here's the thing. After a bit of analysis of the song and thinking over, it's actually not a bad song. The problem is I had to get used to the style. It's not a bad style, but I just had to feel sorry for this song because it's gonna be lampooned in Eurovision. And especially lampooned because the very next song is from Italy, who has been a powerhouse as of late and has sent Måneskin with the song Zitti Buoni. And this is the sort of rock song I've been waiting for. From the first hit of that bass, you know you're in for a treat. And the camera shot, when you first start, it feels like you're walking into a warehouse full of people that are about to get stuff done and make things go down. And then from there, it just gets progressively fuller packagier and you just enjoy the song more. This is a classic rock entry. Except, you know, not made around the time of classic rock. So yeah, they're my second favorite song overall in this entire competition. But when I was hearing this song in the contest, and even after watching the music video, I was like, would Europe really vote for this? I was kind of hesitant. I was thinking it would be lucky if it made it to the top 5. Just watch. Then we move on to Sweden, and last up was San Marino because the people in the running order wanted to play off the fact that people were legit wondering, wait, Flo Rida is in Eurovision? So yeah, Flo Rida comes on the scene and everyone thinks big of that song. With that out of the way, all the songs are down, and now it's time to announce the voting opening, you get the recap, and then we move on to the interval acts. The interval acts were neat. You know, you got your standard fare that's been continuing through the semifinals and the finals, such as the Eurovision tutorials and the winners stuff. You also get this scene called Music Binds Us, with people going out on a bridge and dancing, and there's Afrojack. You know, Afrojack from the Netherlands. I can never get a hand on DJs because the DJ name is on the credit, and I originally assumed that that was the singer, but turns out no. Also, they brought out someone to sing Titanium. And I know it's not the original singer because her hair isn't covering her face, now is it? We also get scenes regarding previous winners, such as driving around with Edcilia around Rotterdam. And we get these rooftop performances featuring, again, previous winners like Måns Zelmerlöw, because you have to include them. We get Teachin. We get Sandra Kim. Really a what could have been performance, honestly, considering Sandra Kim originally performed that song when she was, what, 13? Thank goodness for Junior Eurovision just to filter that stuff out. You know, several other songs like that, and of course you have to close out with Lordi, and they somehow get better with age. And then we get Duncan Lawrence. And this one is kind of tricky because Duncan Lawrence has, of course, ended up in hotel quarantine. So he couldn't show up on stage to perform or present the trophy like a lot of former Eurovision winners did. Granted, Måneskin didn't present the trophy in 2022 or announce the votes for the Dutch juries, because apparently he was supposed to do that, but it ended up going to someone else because he couldn't do that. So for the Duncan Lawrence performance, we got a rehearsal, and he performed a snippet of Arcade, and then went into his new song called Stars. And I think it's about him going into Hollywood and seeking fame and fortune and all that sort of stuff. And I have to say, this was one of my favorite performances that wasn't a Eurovision entrant by a Eurovision artist. This song put me at ease. This song gave me bliss. It was kind of haunting, but also very consoling. Granted, I have to listen to a lot more of Eurovision artist songs that didn't compete in Eurovision. I've heard only a few, like A Million Eyes by Loïc Notet, for example. I'm in It With You by Lorraine. Real nice song. Of course, Hatari released a song recently, and I'm starting to realize that I may actually like Hatari's song styles. I really need to listen to more. That's the main point. And after all that, we closed the voting with a bunch of people forming the countdown. They called it the countdown. And admittedly, it was a lot longer than the normal countdown because it took multiple seconds for them to form a number and stay in that number. And I'm willing to forgive them for captivating me a little bit with the whole thing, how that works. It didn't really fit in a chronological sort of sense, but it works. And then after that, it's time to announce the jury votes. And for that, we go to Martin Osterdahl, the new executive supervisor of the European Broadcasting Union. Here's the thing. Jan Olasand was supposed to do his last duties at a Eurovision Song Contest in Rotterdam when it was originally supposed to be held in 2020. That was supposed to be his last senior Eurovision Song Contest where he says, "Take it away." Didn't end up happening. So that means the last memory we're going to have of Jan Olasand's leadership is that one time where that one country announced the ranking of their votes in the opposite order. Bad for Estonia, good for San Marino. But also bad for the integrity of Eurovision voting. So yeah, Martin Osterdahl does his thing, and then he says, "You're good to go." And now it's time to get into the jury votes. First off, we start from Israel, since they hosted the song contest before the one in Rotterdam, and we're going to finish with the Netherlands, who are the current hosts. We get ourselves several memorable moments, you know, Greece and Cyprus trading 12 points as usual. San Marino gets 12 points from a jury, and that is kind of wild. I mean, Flowrider, congratulations. And also Senhate. Cannot forget Senhate. Switzerland leading the voting, and then France catching up and beating them for a short while before Switzerland takes the crown back. Also, it's a good time to mention that Switzerland and France ended up taking the Marcel Benson Awards between them. Switzerland took the Composers Award, while France took the Artist Award and the Press Award. Now, that was a wild video. There were also a series of awards called Eurovision Awards, which I don't know if they're going to do for 2022, but there are several awards based on several different categories, independent of the other awards. The OGAE Award was given to Destiny from Malta, you know, the fan club award. Then there's the Barbara Dex Award, which, a little thing about the Barbara Dex Award, if you don't know. It was originally created in the mid-90s to give to the worst dressed performer or performers, but in the late 2010s, the new management, because of course there's new management, tried to change the award to mean the most standout outfit in the competition. But the Barbara Dex Award moniker still introduced a lot of bias, so they had to change the name to Eurovision. Understandable move. This time it went to Tix of Norway. I can't disagree too hard about the decision. We also got mentions of Eurovision, the Story of Fire saga throughout the contest, mostly by Finland, but especially with the Icelandic spokesperson, who wanted the host to play Ya Ya Ding Dong. Back when I was watching that Eurovision, originally, I did not touch the Story of Fire saga. Now that I have watched the Story of Fire saga, I'm like, Honestly, I should make a review of the Story of Fire Saga because I think the comedy does a disservice to the contest. We also get a few Eurovision spokespeople who have formally participated in the contest, but I won't go too much about it there. So we close out the show with Switzerland maintaining a pretty solid lead, with France not too far behind, and the United Kingdom all the way down the list with 0 points from the jury. And here is where things get rather kooky. So remember, the televotes are announced from order of jury ranking, starting with the country that has received the least points from the juries. That honor, or dishonor, goes to the United Kingdom, and I was immediately worried because the United Kingdom has historically done worse with the public than with the juries. And also, since 2016, no one has acquired 0 points total. And so the announcement came in. United Kingdom, you have received from the public 0 points. I sat there in disbelief. I was like, 0 points? So the United Kingdom walks away with nothing? And I was just waiting for the graphic to gray out the United Kingdom to confirm it. What a moment. And honestly, while that is such an infamous moment, I would say getting 0 points from both the jury and the televote in the same show is admirable and should be taken as a badge of honor in itself. I mean, if you were the first person to do that, you set a record. Congratulations. And respect to James Newman. He took that really well. He took that like a champ. So, this is for you, James Newman. That is solid, okay? And I'm not disrespecting you or anything. That was a pretty cool moment. A crowning moment of awesome, I would say. And then we move on to Jendrik, which had 3 points from the juries. And from the televote, they got 0 points. They got more points from the juries than the televote. That is just crazy. It was a love or hate song, but I should change my statement a little bit. If you placed 13th, if you placed the middle of the board with every country, it doesn't matter that you placed middle of the board with every country, you still get 0 points. That's why I don't agree with the 2013 average ranking that they did for the jury and the televote. That is just naughty and underrepresenting a lot of information. Then we move on to Spain, and I was kind of hoping, okay, we got rid of the booby prizes regarding the United Kingdom and Germany. Maybe Spain's gonna get something? Another 0 points. We didn't even get that much time with Blas Canto. He's like gone. To me, that was the most brutal because it was not a bad song. It was Spanish, of course. That had a factor for something. And it was nice once you understood the lyrics, Europe. And now we move on to the Netherlands. Spain had 6 points from the jury, by the way. The Netherlands had 11 points from the jury. And at this point, I'm kind of expecting, oh, the Netherlands is just going to get another 0 points. Are they? Yep. Well, at least the juries gave McCroy some respect. And then we finally move on to Norway. I was like, can we please end this 0 point busting feed and frenzy right here? And yes, they gave Tix 60 points. Which is what? 58 more points than Australia received in the televote in 2022? Okay, even with a sample size of at least 2, I could say, dang, autistic people are just getting no respect these days. But hey, we hit some high points and we hit some low points when it came to the public awards. San Marino got basically nothing. Lithuania and Finland really shot high on the list. Bulgaria only got 30 points from the televotes, which I get it. But considering they didn't do too spectacularly in the jury votes, they got 6th place in the juries, but they weren't even close to getting their way into the top 5 considering the point gap. That means that they lost a top 10 finish to Greece on a tiebreaker. You could not believe my frustration. That was such a good, wholesome song, and they just slept on it. You see, this is why I like the 50-50 system. Both sides frustrate me, and thus they both deserve to be there. And then, through all that mess, we finally get to Italy, and they get a staggering amount of public vote support, pushing them deep into the first place spot. So, with them the leader, we still have 3 nations yet to receive their points. Malta is up next, and they also got dunked on by the televote. Ouch. And you know what this means? This means that Destiny doesn't have the highest placing in the Senior Eurovision Song Contest as a former Junior Eurovision participant. She shares her spot with the Tomakevi sisters. Can you believe that? But yeah, anti-booing technology aside, we go to France, and she gets her points, but barely misses the 500 mark. And that leaves us with Switzerland. And, of course, Switzerland had that jury lead, but it wasn't that big a lead, and it wasn't that large an amount of points. So, when they got their public vote points, of which they would underperform, it ended up not being enough, and the song ended up 3rd. Which meant that Måneskin from Italy won, and they left us with a lot of memories. From the torn-up outfits, to the allegations over drug use, to that moment where they held the trophy up high and exclaimed, "Rock and roll never dies." With that, we close out with the original version of the song. Well, mostly, there were some parts where they didn't sing. And with that, the show ends. So what were my thoughts about Eurovision 2021? I pretty much liked it, and yes, part of it was because the contest was not held for 2 years, but I felt like the quality of the songs just came roaring in to save the contest. And sure, there were quite a few misses, but this contest reminded me why I love it. It's got a lot of memorable moments, and of course it expanded my playlist with a lot of songs that I'm just gonna keep playing on replay. Yeah, yes, I know that's a 2019 reference. And let's hope wherever the contest is held next year, whether it be Manchester or Glasgow or Sheffield or really wherever, that it gives us a memorable performance that just continues to add on to the playlist. It will, but while I liked Eurovision 2022, it had plenty of misses and awkward moments. Not that 2021 is absolved of that, because it was clear that Nikki was waiting on standby to talk to France at the end of the jury voting, but it didn't get to go on. But yeah, this was mostly clean, well-polished Eurovision 2021. I approve. Do the feedback thing, like, comment, subscribe, or dislike, because I've still yet to mention that Portugal sent in a song fully in English. I mean, welcome to the club, Portugal. France, Italy, you're next! Really, Andorra's gonna send in a song in pure English before those two. Follow me on Twitter at JERealize. This has been JERealize. I'll see you next time, and there will be a next time.